This is the Bama Podcast with Marty Solomon. I'm his co-host, Brent Billings. Today, I'm with Elle Fricks to step into the prayer closet and shut the door on the babbling pagans.
I will immediately say, no mea culpa. That is all 100% Brent.
I take full credit.
Yeah,
I'm quite pleased with it.
Excellent.
What are we doing in this closet?
I don't know.
What's wrong with the babbling pagans?
Oh, dear. All good questions. Where are we? Where are we other than in a hypothetical prayer closet? Well, Jesus has still been teaching us how to be light in the world, how to walk out Torah. We've had this long, in-depth, challenging episode, at least last week, trying to solve the quote-unquote problem of reward and wages. This week is not that. Big sigh of relief, mostly from me. So we're going to read the passage. We're going to have fun splashing around in rabbinic literature. We're going to get a little deeper than usual into the Greco-Roman Mediterranean context, and then we'll ask some more questions to wrap up. So it should be a good time. Not necessarily a long time. We love that at times.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
This is the LEB. We're out of the KJV. Sweet, blissful relief.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And whenever you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, because they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and on the corners of the streets, in order that they may be seen by people. Truly, I say to you, they have received their reward in full. Or wages, perhaps. But whenever you pray, enter into your inner room and shut your door and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. But when you pray, do not babble repetitiously like the pagans, for they think that because of their many words they will be heard. Therefore, do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. Amazing.
What stands out to you, Brent Billings?
This was one of the key passages that made me leave the Catholic Church.
Oh.
The repetition and the many words. And I was like, the rosary is too many words and it's too repetitious. I apparently glossed over entirely the pagans part of that sentence, because I don't know that I would necessarily consider my Catholic brothers and sisters to be pagans. So I'm not quite sure what I was doing there, but yeah. Selective reading.
We're European barbarians. That's what the Romans and the Greeks would have said anyway.
Indeed,
so
yes.
We're beyond saving.
So there's that. Also, just the fact that it's initially don't be like the hypocrites, but then later it's don't be like the pagans.
Right.
So I'm wondering what's going on there with those two different things. I'm wondering what the inner room is like.
Yeah.
I always think of it as a closet.
Right.
I think that's even how we have it in our notes.
Yep.
But what does inner room actually entail? In shutting the door in what way? What kind of doors do they have? What does this whole situation actually look like?
Yeah.
Beyond my
set 18 booby traps, Indiana Jones
right.
style, have a big boulder that comes down and smashes anyone, interrupts you.
Yeah. What does it mean that the Father sees in secret?
I
don't know.
Father who is in secret as well.
Yeah.
So
Father who
layers.
is in secret, which, I think, I don't know. And this might just be the LEB, like the way it's translating it makes me notice that part of it when I hadn't necessarily noticed it before. But yeah, what does it mean to see in secret? Yeah.
Excellent questions. I expected no less.
Thank you.
So Marty talked about the hypocritas already. So I won't be talking about that today. Too bad. If you are curious, go back and listen to our executive producer, our host of the Bema podcast.
Oh boy, what would that be? That'd probably be episode 97.
Yeah, it's in the first go through. Actors, I believe, is the big take there.
If it's not 97, I'll put the proper episode in the show notes.
But we're going to get into it. We'll do Talmud and we'll do Greco-Roman context. So first, hopefully answering these questions along the way, some general Talmudic prayer rules, not limited to length. We'll set our foundation layer first that way, and then we'll pivot to look at specific Talmudic rules around the length of prayers. So this is one of our classic great lists that we love, or at least I love. It's one of my favorite things. So here we go. The 3 times a day has already been established for prayer by the time of Jesus's era, along with the reading of the Shema, the praying of the Shema. Usually I'm not so like concrete about, no, we know that this is pre-Jesus, but this is the one of the ones where we really do know they are praying 3 times a day. Like the Shema says, you should pray when you're standing up and also when you're lying down. And so there are some extensive rabbinic comment that I found. People were upset with Shammai because he was so literal and stringent with you must pray while you're lying down, that he was having people lay down on the highway to pray. And then they were being robbed. Which,
Ooh.
yeah, big problems. So Hillel, said that you could make there was some wiggle room there, thankfully. Thanks, Hillel. They said, never let your prayer be interrupted, even if you are getting bit on the ankle by a poisonous snake. Bitten on the ankle by a poisonous snake. If you do get bit by a poisonous snake while you're praying, the snake will die and not you.
Oh, okay.
Pretty baller.
I was going to say that seems to pair well with the idea of like when you're dying, you want either Shema or whatever to be on your lips.
You're already
It's like,
there.
well, done.
Done. No problem. It also reminds me of the extra Markan ending. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to the end of Mark and you'll see hopefully a little footnote in your Bible that says this is probably from later manuscripts, or it won't be there at all. But it says that they were handling snakes, right? So maybe this about their prayers. Just a thought. Maybe the person in the voice of Mark was saying nothing could stand against their prayers. Mm. It also, for me, makes me think of my prayers at home with the kids, which are constantly interrupted. Prayers before dinner, prayers before bed. There's lots of discipleship that happens there with like, shh, stop, no.
Yeah.
So I guess my children are more challenging than poisonous snakes is what I'm saying. And delightful.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like, it's so quick to happen too. It's like, okay, let's do our dear Jesus. Darius is like, okay, you go first. And like, I'm halfway through the first item and
an explosion breaks out.
It's like, what does an owl sound like? Like what? How did you come up with that question in the 3 seconds I've been praying?
Yeah. Incredible. What a delight. Number 4, do not pray in a ruin because you will get mugged, or in a market because you'll be robbed. Walk about 4 cubits away from either a ruin or a market, and you should be fine, according to the rabbis, which according to my research is a little bit sketchy because 4 cubits appears to be only about 6.5 feet in Greco-Roman measurements anyway. It's like, I don't know that being 6.5 feet away from a ruin would keep you from getting mugged. But
a ruin like the remains of a building?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Why would you even be there?
Because you're on a teaching tour.
Okay.
Obviously. Super practical, very important, everybody. You have to also be 4 cubits away from anyone dirty when you're praying. That applies to a person, a dog, a pig, a chicken, or a malodorous pile of dung. I have questions about what if it's not malodorous? Then can you still pray next to it? What's the scale for judging the odor of a pile of dung?
I don't know, but I say, put the extra fence around that. I'm on board with that rule. Yeah.
What if it's diaper involved? What if you can't pray in your kitchen anymore because the trash can or your diaper genie or whatever's in there?
Yes.
Questions. Number 5 or possibly 6, who could even say, if you can't get away from a malodorous pile of dung, as long as it's not taller than 10 handbreadths high or 10 handbreadths deep, you can just face the other way.
That's too much.
Too much dung, just in general?
Yeah. I don't know how much a handbreadth is, but if there's 10 of anything, that's too much.
You can recite the Shema if you're in a tree, but only if it's an olive tree or a fig tree and if you're working in that tree.
Okay.
If you own the tree, you have to come down.
Oh. Okay.
Brings Zacchaeus to mind for me.
I like it.
But in this particular passage, Jesus is specifically commenting on not on the place, not ruins and malodorous piles of dung, but on the length of prayers, to hear the specifics on length.
I'm very anxious to hear this.
A few folks in the minority in rabbinic literature say that short is better and that God actually rebuked Moses at the Sea of Reeds for taking too long with this prayer. Which would be pretty funny if you're praying and then you hear a voice from heaven being like, let's speed this thing up.
Shut up already. Just part the Red Sea already.
Skip to the end. In general, the consensus is that long praying is good for people who are forced to listen to you. The idea is that if you're in synagogue or whatever and there's a bunch of people and they don't really want to pay attention, they'll accidentally hear something good if you keep going for a long time. The scale for our children, again, 3 seconds before sudden pivot to owls. So I don't know. I don't know. There's lots of conversation about how your prayer is more likely to be heard by God if it is long. Supposedly, that's the only reason God heard Hannah's prayer, which is kind of a bummer. And that's one of the things specifically that Jesus argues against, because he says, thinking their many words will make them heard in verse 7. But that was one of the pieces of consensus. Eventually, along the way in time, they set 1 hour as the appropriate time for prayer. And if you attend a synagogue or a temple service today, the prayer service is about an hour long. But they also said you should wait an hour after prayer because Psalm 140 says, yes, the righteous give thanks to your name and the righteous sit before your face. But they also said you should probably wait an hour before your prayer because of Psalm 84. And so if you do the math, if you have 3 hours for prayer, 3 times a day, that's 9 hours of prayer a day.
I was doing that math and I was like, what in the world? How does society function?
Well, they had an answer. How did their learning remain and their work done? Yet, since they were pious, their learning was preserved and their work blessed. So you're just not holy enough, Brent.
Okay. I mean, I believe it, but...
Were they podcast sound engineers, though? That's the question.
Yeah. Well, probably.
Last quote, which delights my soul. 3 things prolong the days and the years of a person. If one tarries long in his prayer, at his table, and at the privy. But to tarry long in his prayer is the most excellent.
Okay. I don't even know what that means.
You don't know what a privy is?
I don't know. There's a lot of weird words in there.
You choose not to know what a privy is. That's fine.
I don't read the King James, Elle.
Privy is bathroom. Been over this. Saying take a long time in the bathroom and you'll live a long time. So if you're confused, the takeaway is that you should pray for a long time, according to most of the Talmud, because of everyone forced to listen to you and because God is more likely to hear you and because it extends your life. And it's because what the Bible says righteous people do, according to Talmudic interpretation.
Seems fair.
Okay. I want to address that closet question while we're still here in the rabbinic literature.
Yes.
So inner chamber or closet. Why does he pick this particular framework? Jesus could have said, go to an empty room. Seems like it would suffice. Go to an abandoned structure. Go to an isolated place. Jesus went to isolated places for whole days of prayer and silence, right?
Yes, yes.
So why did he pick this particular term? Here's a little suggestion from the rabbinic literature. There's a teaching about a man who took refuge in the chamber within his chamber. So I would argue a closet. And in order to pray to the Lord and fast. And that man who took refuge in his closet in order to pray to the Lord and fast was Yosef during the 7 years that he was ducking temptation from Potiphar's wife. So why is that important? Jesus is talking about, along with many things in the Sermon on the Mount, how to make it through domination from empire, right? How do we possibly walk out Torah in this complex, chaotic world in which we live? We have Roman oppression. We have all these things going on. You still want me to walk out Torah? Yes, says Jesus. How do we do that? Jesus says to use our prayer as our refuge in the same way that Yosef, who was seized unjustly by his brothers and delivered into the hands of a hostile empire, just as Jesus would be, invites his people, Jesus invites his people to see a strategy for spiritual survival. It's prayer in private. Just maybe he's pulling on this teaching to encourage the people who are undergoing domination, suffering, and temptation and chaos to maintain their integrity, to duck temptation by praying. Just an idea. But that's not all Jesus says. So going back to the whole passage here, he says, don't pray for a long time like the Gentiles do, for they think by their many words they will be heard. So it talks about the time issue, keeping in mind Jesus's prayers were short, right? If you think about when he healed people or when he did exorcisms, they're just like, you are healed, or get out of him, or on the cross, forgive them. They know not what they do. But he also took long days away just to pray. He stayed up vigil all night in the garden before his murder, right? So what is this Gentile pagan component he's talking about? Why is he bringing length in, specifically in regard to pagans? So let's look at the Greco-Roman prayer strategy together.
Greco-Roman prayer strategy. Okay. All right.
Pivoting from Talmud to Greco-Roman. So there's generally 3 types of Greco-Roman prayers. We're going to look at them, look at the steps involved. The first Greco-Roman prayer is a civic ceremonial prayer. And this is how you do it. Number 1, you invoke the deity. Number 2, you give the reason for your prayer. And number 3, you make your request. So Livy records, Fabius Maximus is saying, Jupiter, Optimus, Maximus, and you other gods who have power over us. I love the thread of the unknown God, by the way.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's great.
I pray and beseech you to favor the Roman people and the legions in this struggle. May you inspire us with courage and grant us victory over our enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Feels very sports to me. Feels pretty locker room. There's no self-deprecation. There's no, though I deserve it not, O great and powerful Jupiter. There's no, grant me this one wish and I will ever live purely before you. None of that shows up. It's just the deity is Jupiter. The reason is we need favor in the struggle, and the request is for courage and victory.
Okay. Nice and short, too.
Nice and short, yeah. I get, which is important when we're trying to figure out what Jesus is talking about. Cicero gives us a standard civic prayer. O Jupiter, Optimus Maximus, whom we honor with sacred rites and festivals, we beseech you to protect our city and grant us prosperity. Hear our supplications and avert all ill omens. The end. Again, very dinner grace. We've got our deity Jupiter. We've got our reason. We have a sacred festival. And our request is prosperity and protection from ill. Doesn't feel very long to me, Brent.
Nope. Fits well in all those contexts.
Okay.
Like you said.
So we scratched that possibility off our list. It doesn't seem like Jesus is talking about civic ceremonial prayer. What about number 2, household prayer? Here's an example that we have preserved. Father Mars, be gracious. Keep away disease, barrenness, and disaster. Grant good harvest and healthy livestock. The end.
Short again.
Short again. Even shorter.
When and where are they praying something like a household prayer?
I'm so glad you asked.
Thank you.
I have a Wikipedia article just for this.
Okay.
So you have your household shrine. It's probably in the threshold of your house. So if you don't know what that looks like, it's a little shelf that sticks out from the wall. And then you have a little statue of your deity to whom your household has allegiance. Sometimes, by the way, there's only one arm on these deities because there's a hole where they'd put a wooden arm so that like a Barbie, you could stick the arm out when you had an offering to give it. And then you could put your bread or oil or whatever you were giving to the deity onto this little Barbie arm.
Okay.
delightful to me as far as idolatry goes.
Right.
So it's not long. They're not stating their theology. They're not in a patronage way going over, these are all the things you have done for me, Mars, and these are all the things that I will do for you. It's just like, hey, this is what I need. Bye. So again, I got to cross it off of our list of long prayers that Jesus appears to be referencing. The pagans aren't doing this on their house on the way out to the fields. This is not long. So that leaves our last possibility here.
Which article was that, by the way? Is this the Lares or whatever? Okay, sorry to interrupt. Back to your final possibility.
Yes. Final possibility. We've got magical prayers. Magical prayers. This one comes with divine names, many titles, much theology, many repetitions. Why would you be doing one of these kinds of prayers? It's a situation which, we've all been there. You're trying to keep your vengeful ancestors from haunting your house. You've done the thing where you spit out black beans and state what you need 9 times over each black bean. And so now you need to seal the thing off with one of these prayers. These are longer. Why? You're trying to get something done. You're trying to do some manipulation. You want something out of the ordinary. You don't just want normal protection or favor or whatever. You have a problem, and that problem is the spirits of unburied ancestors being in your house. You are motivated, Brent.
I don't know about unburied ancestors, but thinking like, oh, I'm going to miss my flight. Help me get through this security line faster or whatever.
That would be an arrow prayer for me to just shoot up real fast. Like, oh God, I need your help. May TSCA be kind to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That wouldn't be one of my, oh Father who art in heaven. I wouldn't begin all of that, but maybe we're different. And that's okay.
By the way, if you're trying to take about 500 BAMOS stickers and a giant brick through TSA, they are going to pull your bag probably. So
that's good to know. Good to know. I'm going to include for our learning here one of these magical prayers, which is Greco-Egyptian Jewish from the era, because I want us to hear the difference between this kind of prayer that I believe Jesus is referencing and the ones we've talked about already. If you're confused because I was being funny, which I always think I'm being funny, but if you're confused by the fact that I brought in the vengeful ancestors from haunting your house, that's for this prayer, but that's not limited to just vengeful ancestors. That's just my example. There's lots of different kinds of magical prayers for lots of things. There's whole books out there of prayers of this era that are like how to get someone to love you back and such.
Are these like standardized prayers or They're
prayer books.
Prayer books.
Prayer books that you can find.
Okay.
Sometimes we know how the prayer goes because they're written on like execration bowls. Sometimes they're on like dolls that get buried under the floorboards. There's lots of versions of these that you find that then get compiled.
Okay.
But yes. Okay. Sometimes you buy them from someone who knows what they're doing, who gives it to you, right? Etc. So I'm reading I'm reading a big portion of this prayer, but I've deleted portions and names and titles and gobbledygook syllables because I don't come to play, Brent. I'm not messing around with accidentally pulling on a thread that I don't want to pull on.
Okay.
If there's people out there who think I'm being extra, that's fine. You can think that. That's okay. But I don't, there's just no reason to read this whole thing and spin roll the dice on anything. So what is Jesus talking about when he says you guys sound pagan? Here's an example, I believe, of a pagan prayer that is lengthy. And then we're going to do some comparison. What does it look like when we pray? Who does it sound like? Okay, here we go.
Now I'm scared.
Don't be scared.
Okay, all right.
Probably. I deleted a lot.
No, not about this prayer. The comparison.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, oh no.
Here it goes. I call upon you, headless one, who created earth and heaven, who created night and day, you who created light and darkness. You are the one whom no one has ever seen. You have distinguished between the just and the unjust. You have made female and male. You have revealed seeds and fruits. You have made men love each other and hate each other. I am Moses, your prophet, to whom you have transmitted your mysteries celebrated by Israel. Just a little point. This is a pagan Jewish syncretic prayer tradition, potentially one of the reasons Jesus is annoyed.
Yeah. No kidding.
Back to the prayer. You have revealed the moist and the dry and all nourishment. Hear me. I am the messenger. This is your true name, which has been handed down to the prophets of Israel. Insert something here that I will not say. Hear me. Insert more gobbledygook. I will not say. Hearken to me and turn back this demon. I call upon you, terrible and unseen God, with an empty spirit. More things that I'm not going to say. Holy headless one, deliver him. Insert name here of whoever you're praying for. From the demon that holds on to him. More gobbledygook. Strong headless one, deliver him. Name here from the demon that holds on to him. More gobbledygook. Deliver him. Insert name here. Gobbledygook. He is the Lord of the gods. He is the Lord of the inhabited world. He is the one whom the winds fear. He is the one who has made all things by the command of his voice. Lord, King, Master, Helper, save this soul. Then gobbledygook. It keeps going on for pages. What do you notice, Brent?
That's a very repetitious. I mean, even with cutting so much of it, is already feels long.
Yes.
What is the headless one thing about? Where does that
It sounds
title come
ominous, but I'm so glad you asked. It has to do with eternality. So when we think head in our context, we think like authority. When they thought head, they thought primacy temporally. If that's confusing to you, I will try again. They meant it has no head, as in a river has no head. It has no fountain. It has no beginning or an end. So they're talking the supernatural being, which they believe is immortal and eternal, and therefore it doesn't have a head.
Okay. And then who are we expecting to use this prayer? Like, what kind of time frame does this come from?
It comes from between the 1st century BC and the 1st century AD. And there's a lot of Egyptian syncretism in the Greco-Roman Empire. It's one of the reasons it's fun to study all of the things, because they all weave and blend together.
Mm-hmm. So the hearers of the Sermon on the Mount very likely were familiar with this particular prayer, even potentially.
Perhaps there's lots of different versions. The person who's giving it, you'll notice if you were listening to the prayer and you weren't like just skipping over it because maybe you're nervous like me, you're talking about somebody else. It says, deliver him, insert name here from the demon that holds on to him. And so we do know about, I have super fascinating accounts of people who worked as exorcists and magicians at the time of Jesus, who were contemporaneous to Jesus and who traveled around the Levant and did exorcisms. So this is an example from that milieu of what it sounded like, which makes Jesus's version cray in comparison, right? He says, get out, all done.
Yeah.
That's the end. If you go and visit an exorcism service, which I've done accidentally in modern America, it does not sound like the way that Jesus did it. It sounds much more like this, I will say.
Yeah. Okay. Not the comparison that I feared. So I think I'm okay.
Yet.
Oh, no.
There's always conviction waiting, Brent.
Okay.
But also grace, and maybe you don't need to feel convicted at all. I don't know your life.
All right.
Okay, so I noticed that this is long. It has gobbledygook. If you're confused by what I mean by gobbledygook, it like lots of random syllables, like blah, 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 blah type thing. It's formulaic. This is what you're supposed to say, versus Jesus says different stuff when he's doing exorcisms or healing people, right? He doesn't say the exact thing every time.
Yeah. And the formula he gives you is, the Lord's Prayer, which has nothing to do with exorcism.
Right.
And is relatively short.
Right. Well, we'll get to the Lord's Prayer once Josh comes and joins us next week.
Yes.
Woo! It's going to be good. It also has a lot of theology in it, right? It's talking to this eternal deity, and it starts off by listing what the deity created, supposedly.
Like the whole creation story is embedded in this prayer.
Pretty much. Justice and injustice, gender, vegetables.
Yeah.
All of the above. Things about prophets. There's so many things that they are communicating in this prayer. Now, I will say, I have been blessed to learn from lots of different prayer traditions. I've spent amazing time, beautiful time with people who are into everything from centering prayer with inspired by like Thomas Merton to Pentecostal communities who pray declaration. There's lots of tongues going on. And so I am not trying to definitively say this is the way to pray. I know Psalm 100 says enter his gates with thanksgiving and courts of praise. I've gotten teachings on different formulas about how you're supposed to pray, right? Some people say you have to have confession in there, you have to have thanksgiving, and then you have petition, right? I have my own liturgical prayer books, which is a formula if I've ever heard of one. I've been blessed by almost all of it, except for that one exorcism service. That was harrowing. So do not hear me as trying to slam or shade any tradition or tell people that I know how they should be praying, because I don't. We know that Jesus spent 40 days in prayer fasting. We know he spent all night praying. We also know he used short prayers. So there isn't just one way of being here that I'm trying to say is right, but I do want to still ask us, when Jesus does teach us how to pray, like in this particular passage, are we in alignment with what he has told us? If we do come from a tradition which practices lengthier prayers, what's our heart motivation for checking the box on those lengthy prayers? If we've returned to that heart theme from last week, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because we are, I was just thinking of that. It's like, okay, we're still in and even some of the language from last week overlaps with this portion of the passage.
Right.
Like we have to take those in context.
Right. Hypocritas. We were just talking about, why are you doing the things that you're doing? Is it for applause? And so I have some questions for us that are based on the heart, not really on the form and trying to tell people exactly what their prayer should look like. So here are some questions. Do we rely, if we do, on liturgical books because we don't think our own thoughts are organized enough, or competent enough, or pretty enough for God? Do we rely on any formula for prayer because we don't trust that God loves us and is for us unless we do it right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do we get into a rhythm of including lots of self-deprecation and theology because we think God's posture toward us is skeptical and irritated with us and our requests?
We have to make sure God knows that we understand how terrible we are and how much we owe him for everything, and he doesn't owe us anything, but please.
TSA.
Yeah.
Do we practice a lot of praise or thanksgiving in our prayer because we feel the need to prove something to God or prove something to ourselves that we have earned the ability to be there?
Yeah. I mean, good things, all those things are good to consider.
What kind of beliefs, Brent, do you think we have to have about God in order to pray short prayers?
I mean, we have to believe that God actually sees us and is like actively part of our lives, not just this distant, like, what are you bothering me about now?
Right. We don't have to send up like all the smoke signals first. Hey, it's me.
Yeah.
Addressed asunder.
We have to believe that God actually wants us to be close to him. And how do I say this in a non all the tensions of last week are bubbling up as like, if I do the right thing, then I'm going to get this particular reward. Yeah, we have to believe that like God actually wants good things for us, and not in like a manipulative sort of way, but just like God is going to give us the benefit of the doubt. I mean, God says he desires mercy, not sacrifice. Like, we're not here to like do this, check this box. Like, he wants us to be merciful. He's going to be merciful to us. Understanding, patient, all these things.
All these things. Yeah, I love that list. My list is similar. I think that we have to believe that he's listening already, that he's good, that he wants to give us what we ask for already before we ask it, that he doesn't need us to convince him of anything, that he doesn't need us to prove ourselves to him or to ourselves, and that he doesn't have to have his own attributes listed to him for his own ego, right? I believe in thankfulness and gratitude and worshipful prayers and beloved spiritual practices, and you couldn't pay me to abandon them. But
are you sure? There's no price? There's no price?
I could let centering prayer go, actually. Oh, no. Okay. I do want us to ask, though, if those are the things required for short prayers, and Jesus is inviting us to be like, hey, do we have super long prayers? Why? Is it for attention? Is it for our own ego? Are we looking like the pagans? Are we trying to manipulate God? Or do we believe God's already listening? Do we believe he's already good? Do we believe that he wants good things for us? Do we believe that God doesn't need us to prove ourselves? Do we believe that God is more than a distant, egoic Zeus? Do we believe that he's a generous, compassionate parent? I hope so. And I hope, like Yosef in his closet, that we can find prayer to be our heart's home for all the temptation and chaos and oppression of our era.
So I'm reading a book for an interview that's coming up here in a few weeks. And this little passage. So the author was talking about thoughts and prayers and what are the pitfalls of either of those approaches to dealing with something completely outside of the context of what we're talking about today. But this little part about prayer here, even if we believe in and are assured of prayer's spiritual power, we use prayer as an excuse to shrink away from our participation in God's work. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes.
Yes.
And I think that is part of what we need to believe too, is like, just because we're giving prayer to God, even if we believe all the right things, that like we still have a part to play in the carrying out of that prayer. So that's not necessarily like, what kind of beliefs do we have to have about God? I think part of that belief is like, it's not just God. Like we are supposed to be partners in carrying out whatever it is we are praying for.
Are our prayers super long because we're making up for the fact that we're not actually out there helping people?
Like, helping people, or just like being a part of whatever it is that we're asking. Like we can pray for the hungry in our town to be fed, and we can leave it at that, or we can pray for that and then go actually participate in distributing food. And maybe we're not going to solve the entire problem ourselves, but we do have a part to play in carrying out those things. So,
Yep. Somebody told me recently that they buy something that they know is unjustly made by children overseas because it's okay, because she then prays for the people who made it when she's using it. It's like, oh man. Okay. Well, way to, spread that conviction manure around to fertilize anybody who did feel just fine, including me, before we started this episode. So thanks for that, Brent.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so many of these things, and that's why we do have to pray, is because most of these things, these like global issues, are so much bigger than any one of us can deal with.
What are we supposed to do about the children overseas?
Yeah, I just felt like it was a very Bama style thing where it's like, no, God is looking for partners,
right?
And we're not just like little tokens running around talking about what God is doing. Like we are participants, we are partners in what God is doing in the world, and so,
super good. Yeah. My two resources today, one is on the household shrines. If you found that interesting, you want to read more about those. Those are your guardian deities and your Roman hearths. Please don't pick up any to-dos from that Wikipedia article. But if you want to learn more culture, as I trust many of our people enjoy doing, then there's that. And then if you're super confused about the headless ritual, first off, that's fine. You don't need to know more about it. But if you do want to know more about it, you can find it at the Wikipedia page, which I just opened and saw that I incorrectly dated the thing when I told you that it was first century. It's not. It's second century. It's a little bit before and then a little bit after when I said it was, but close enough. That's fine.
Still covers the time frame. Yeah, boy, what a resource.
Yes.
Bornless ritual? What is the difference in the name there?
Some of the translators of this particular papyrus translated it one who has not been born rather than headless one because of the confusion that we have around heads, which continue in our
I illustrated in this episode.
Interpretation of the New Testament. But it's a different subject for a different time.
All right. Well, there we go. We got some resources. We got some stuff to work with, and hopefully we move forward with better prayers somehow. I don't know. We're not judging.
We don't need better prayers. We need more bad prayers, but with good hearts, Brent.
There you go.
There you go. Have more bad prayers, everyone.
All right. Well, you can find those show notes and those links at bamondiscipleship.com or in your podcast app. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can use the contact page. Check out the news page for anything that we have going on, where Marty's going to be, where I'm going to be. We always love meeting listeners, and I've recently been on a couple trips and had a chance to meet like hundreds of people, and it's so incredibly encouraging. It is such a blessing that we get to do this with you. So please keep sharing those stories. And also, everything that we do is made possible by people like you who contribute to our work. And so thank you for that. This is an incredible community that we're in. And so we're all growing and learning together. And thanks for joining us on the Bama podcast this week, working together through these difficult topics. We'll talk to you again soon. Okay, also, before we get started, speaking of high school Brent, I have discovered recently a box of books from my high school era, which you have commented on to some degree. But I pulled out one book in particular. Going back to our episode from a few weeks ago with Josh, I found my copy of Every Young Man's Battle, which I'm going to hand to you. And I would like to hear your hot takes on things like the subtitle and the table of contents or whatever. So,
wow. What an honor I'm experiencing. By the way, this immense collection of books, some of which perfectly delightful, C.S. Lewis,
Indeed.
Good standard fare.
Right.
Other, surely suspect to me.
Surely.
I will not. Okay. Every Young Man's Battle, Strategies for Victory in the Real World of Sexual Temptation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The cover art. The cover art is of a poor woman walking by. She's blurred out, thankfully. We wouldn't want to have to see her face.
Yeah.
And the guy looking over his shoulder with the very distinct, dang girl face. I would have something to say to him if I was this woman who's been blurred out. I like that real world is it's capitalized so that there's a distinction between the real world where temptation abounds and apparently whatever is not the real world. And that forward by somebody named Fat Chance, spelled with the PH.
PHAT.
Fascinating.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Fascinating.
Did that have a particular meaning?
To me?
Yeah.
No, it has no meaning to me.
It was an acronym. It was pretty hot and tempting.
Oh, wow. See the things that I was kept from by not growing up evangelical.
No, well, I don't know if that had anything to do with evangelical or whatever, but a very ironic name for somebody writing a book about this topic.
Setting your defenses, sexual honor, love for her father. Is that heavenly or like, I'm hoping it's heavenly. There's a chapter called Nobody Escapes from Adventure Island. There's one called When Football Was King. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I have room, I have space, I have marginal degrees of humility when understanding that I'm not in youth ministry. And if I had a room full of teenagers who have to wait 10 years or whatever to get married in our culture, that you got to figure out what you're going to say. You have to have something. And I get to sit here not in that job and be like, these are silly titles. And I'm not in this place where I have to figure out how to help these people. So at least there's somebody out there trying to help. Do I think that this is premium? I mean, I don't know. Maybe the chapter on football is incredible and life-changing. Ooh. Something I just read and won't repeat here leads me to believe that would not be the case. I like this chapter titled "A Corral for Your Mustang Mind." Maybe it's just tapping into something.
Well, don't worry. We've got the whole youth group covered because I also have a copy here of Every Young Woman's Battle.
Oh, phew. Does it have a blurred out man with a woman like, dang, boy?
It has a blurred
someone?
out couple who are smiling at each other and dangerously close to each other. They do not have room for Jesus.
Repentance
and then
is
there's a forlorn young woman in the foreground, just like, I wish that I had a relationship. But yeah, this book is good for, learning how the sexual battle begins in your heart and mind. Sure. Helps you understand your hunger for attention from guys.
Interesting.
It's
because that's
something.
what women are always focused on, is attention from men, not any kind of sexual desire. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Good to know. I've learned a lot today. Learned the secrets of the eye bounce that are beyond me.
That's right. Yeah, Josh and I, we had that down, but
at some point
blissfully unaware.
Yeah,
on your side of things.
That's great. I didn't escape all of this. I definitely still had Kiss Dating Goodbye and everything that I fully bought into, but not this particular thing. What a joy. Thank you for sharing, Brent.
All right, on to our real episode, I guess.